Welcome back, gamers. Today I'm going to review Farcry Primal. So how was Farcry Primal? Well, for $60 the price of admission was really high. I jumped into the game and I was really excited in the beginning opening when you're hunting down a woolly mammoth, and it was like, holy crap, it's a mammoth, and it was really cool at first. But then as you play the game on and on, as the story goes on, you start seeing some of the problems with the game that is in the game. It's fun, of course, but there were issues in this game that kept me from saying that this game was phenomenal or game of the year or even fantastic. It was just a good and mediocre game for the $60 price tag. And I'll tell you the issues right now. And it's hard for me to say that the game is crap or the game is fantastic because it doesn't help developers make better game. You want to point out the issues that you didn't enjoy, and I'm going to list those issues, but let's start off with the story of the game. The game story takes place 10,000 BC, where you play as Takar, who is part of the Wenja tribe. Now, the Wenja tribe is on a hunting mission and eventually gets ambushed, and Takar is lost alone in the land of Oros, where he runs into other Wenja members. And his goal is to unite the tribe to fight against the other two tribes that are against him, the Uram, who eats flesh, and the other tribe who has fire, the Izila tribes. And it becomes a battle of superiority between the three tribes. Now, since the game is called Far Cry, the first thing people would do is look back at the other previous two Far Cries that you've played, 3 and 4. 3 and 4 had very memorable characters. 3 had Vaj, which was a psycho, and 4 had a badass guy dictator named Pagan Min. These characters were very memorable in the previous Far Cries, whereas in Far Cry Primal, you really don't remember any of the characters at all. Their names weren't mentioned as much, and the only thing you remember about them was mostly the physical features, like the one dude with one eye, and the other guy with one missing arm, and the chick that got her arm bitten. Even the enemy tribe leaders weren't memorable, and they tried to add that key detail to them to make them sound crazy, to make them very memorable. This game lacked key compelling characters, which is very important in a Far Cry game, because every time you play it, you want to remember the character, and you remember the game, and then when you talk about it, you're like, oh yeah, this game, it had that guy. Now, the thing I can really compliment for the game, besides the uncompelling characters and the storyline, is the fact that the game sounds fantastic. It sounds like 10,000 BC, it looks like 10,000 BC, it has the animals, and everything just fits the environment, and it's very immersive in that aspect. They even did a really good job at coming up with this language for the caveman using research with linguistics, and that did a really good job for the game. Not only that, but they put subtitles on the bottom. They did a really good job at pacing it so that players can catch everything on screen while reading the text at the same time. Aside from these immersive features, the game is still a Far Cry game. If you haven't played a Far Cry game before, you pretty much raid outposts, get spawn points so you can fast travel from there. You can climb ledges that are covered in vines, the same vines you see in Far Cry 3. There are takedown moves, you can sneak and stealth into battle. You can hunt animals to upgrade yourself, to upgrade your bags, your materials, your weapons, or you can even do plenty of side quests so you can upgrade your characters and get stronger. I mean, heck, you even have a pet owl in the game that can drop bombs on enemy and also scout them out. But for you to, in order to progress in the main storyline of the game, you have to do a lot of hunting and killing. You have to get a lot of items to upgrade your tribe. Now, you can't build anywhere you want at the tribe's home. You have to upgrade the buildings, and that's pretty much all you can do. You upgrade it twice, and you're pretty much done. And at certain points, you get to progress in the story. And this is what stops you from progressing in the story, is you have to hunt to upgrade. And it becomes a tedious task after a period of time. What made it felt tedious was the fact that the combat in the game was very lacking. You have 3 types of weapons you can use. You can use a bow, a club, and a spear. And the other weapons are consumables, like the beehive bombs, traps you can set up, and shards you can throw at your enemies, along with a sling that you can throw at your enemies to stun them by slinging it at their head. The combat system didn't really have any block mechanic or parry mechanic to it, so you can only sidestep your enemy or back up and hit them some more. But the great gimmick about this is that you can set every one of your weapons on fire, and you can see at night and watch the fire burn down on your weapons. It's a really cool aspect because when you light something on fire, you can shoot it or throw it and watch it burn things such as the trees, the surrounding grounds. Fire is a very nice and powerful element in the game. It does a lot of things that were very destructive, and for some frighteningly odd reason, it's also very satisfying. So that gimmick is really well pulled off. Another thing you can do is tame animals in the game, from the dire wolves, the saber-toothed tiger, and the woolly mammoth. The game gets interesting in those aspects, but taming itself is also very lacking because all you have to do is throw a piece of meat, run up to the animal and hold E, and watch it follows you. Like, all of a sudden it becomes your pet. It's very easy to accomplish, and not only that, but when your pet dies, which it does most of the time, you can resummon it easily with 2 red leaf. All you have to do is gather 2 red leaf and resummon it again. You can even kill it and skin it and then resummon it again easily. It's like you can change between beasts. It doesn't feel rewarding at all, and it feels very easy. But the beast mechanic was used for as a tank. You want to use your beast to attack enemies, and you want to use them as a distraction so you can attack your enemies. But the thing is, it doesn't feel very rewarding to earn a beast in the game, because you can just summon it on a whim and you could just get rid of it, and you could do strange things like skin it and resummon it again. Aside from that, for the stats in the game, they retweaked a little bit here and there, and it added different stats for the character to level on. The tree looks really big and really nice for you to choose what you want to level on, eventually leveling it all out. And also leveling your weapons and item changes the look of it over time, so it looks better and more refined as time goes along. The graphics of the game looks pretty good on the PC version, but not the same as the screenshots. So now remember, the only way to acquire the same graphics as the screenshot is if you own a supercomputer and go 8K. In that case, that's the only way to see the same superior graphics the screenshot showed. So the game doesn't look the same, but it does look pretty good overall. The game did suffer some problems during the launch. Some people had issues logging into Ubisoft or Uplay itself, but it got fixed over time. People were able to play the game. Now, a lot of you guys are wondering, how is the content of the game? There's a lot of side quests to do, there's a lot of mission to accomplish, and a lot of things to see on the map. The map is also pretty big. Another interesting fact is the fact that the map is the Far Cry 4 map, and a lot of people don't notice this, but if you turn on Far Cry 4 and you turn on Far Cry Primal and you put the map side by side, it is the exact same map. And I knew this was going to happen because I just had a feeling that I've seen most of the sites in the game already from playing Far Cry 4, and I decided to take a look at Far Cry 4 real quick because I had it installed. And sure enough, it was the same map. In fact, people have written articles right now that it is the same map. It's okay to reuse models, it's okay to reskin things sometimes, but the fact is the story takes place somewhere in Europe for Far Cry Primal. Far Cry 4 takes place in the Himalayas, a fictional area in the Himalayas. And if you don't notice it, that's fine. If you do notice it, that's what breaks the immersion for you. And when it looks familiar, it's also immersion breaking. But you gotta hand it to Ubisoft. They did a great job at hiding this fact by creating a new environment and also some new mechanics in the game to change it up so that players don't notice, or the players simply didn't care about the fact that the map was reused. So is Far Cry 4 worth the play and worth the money? It really depends on the perspective. For me personally, no, but there is a lot of content to do in the game. It took me 18 hours to do the storyline in the game and some of the side quests, but there were still plenty of things to do. So who would enjoy this game? If you are a new fan to Far Cry, if you've never played it before and you like the settings, you'll definitely like this game. If you are a hardcore Far Cry fan and enjoy the mechanics that Far Cry offers, you'll enjoy this game too. However, if you're like me, who has played all the Far Cry games, have seen all the Far Cry games, and have, quite frankly, been burned out by the Far Cry mechanic, then you probably won't enjoy this title as much and you'll see it as mediocre. The game also doesn't include much replayability or multiplayer. This game could have been way better if they took it a little farther back and added dinosaurs. I mean, that would have been really interesting instead of the 10,000 BC period. But remember the Assassin's Creed series from Ubisoft where all of a sudden you have Black Flag and the game became a semi-pirating game? That was a really cool aspect to the game. It really changed things up. This is needed in Far Cry. We need to see a change up in mechanic. We need to see improved mechanics, definitely compelling story characters, and also new gameplay and new graphics. This is the future for Far Cry. Otherwise, if it's simply the same thing again, it's just going to be really boring and pretty much burned out for a lot of people, because you can tell that the player base is pretty much burned out from the same mechanic. Again, this was a decent game. It wasn't great, but overall I had a little bit of fun here and there, and at times I did fall asleep. So is the game worth it? You got to check out more reviews, check out gameplay, and see for yourself and decide for yourself. But anyways, hey, The Division is right around the corner. It's a new IP from Ubisoft, and I can't wait to see and check it out. So I'm going to definitely check that game out and review it. Thanks for watching, guys, and game on.